Yo, the number one is in the building, setting the pace, showing the 3 top dogs of the UA how they get down in Endeavour's agency.
100%.
Madness.
Jeez.
Madness.
Well, we're going to bring you our review of My Hero Academia, that's Boku no Hero Academia, chapter 247, status report. And what a chapter it was.
Nah, definitely the brilliant chapter.
Deku can talk, man.
Oh.
Like, literally, he got on my nerves.
No. Please, let him live,
That's why
man.
Bakugo was number one. Bakugo gets to the point. I'm here to take your place. I'm going to be number one. This guy, well, I can't do this. I'm impotent. And that's what he's really saying.
No, let's be.
Like, I've got power, but I can't use it.
Before we get into it, don't forget to smash the subscribe button, leave a like, share the video. Let's get into it straight away. Go on, then.
Come on, man. You got to give it to Deku. He understands the game. He understands his levels to the quirks. It's like, he's intellectual. You have to give him that point. He's a nerd.
He's heavily analytical.
He didn't.
That's the word. Well, wherever. Well, we start off the chapter with Endeavour giving full commitment and attention to his pupils. Like, you can see that Endeavour is taking them seriously, and he actually asked them, what are your goals and challenges that you set for yourself that you want to accomplish at this apprenticeship that we're doing right now? And he takes the time to really try and understand. And I think, as one of you said to me in like today, just to let me know, because I'm very unempathetic towards the 3 of them. I'm only like, I'm biased. But, let me know that at the end of the day, he remembers what Hawk said.
Yeah.
And that's why he sees the potential in them, and also the responsibility that he has to take them on board and nurse them to get them to where they need to be in 4 months' time. That's what this chapter was, just taking that context and setting the context for the future.
It's a great character development for Endeavour. We're given a chance to see who he is as an individual, and we saw many sides to him based on his interaction with the 3 soon-to-be kings of the new hero era. And what you need to understand is what that shows to us is he's listening.
Yeah.
Does that make sense to you? Does that make sense to you? He's not just acting on as a hero. He's not just flamboyant. He's listening.
Well, this is the thing, and the highlight of that moment, was a beautiful moment that Kohai put into this chapter, was after Deku went off on a tangent. I remember I felt like, why don't you shut up? His subordinate said, oh my God, this boy can talk.
Yeah.
But Endeavour took it and simplified it in 2 words. So you want to basically learn how to do 2 things at the same time.
Micromanage your quirks.
Absolutely. So just heads up, shout out to Endeavour. He's the guy right now. Deku first. So what did we have that Deku wanted to learn? So Deku goes on to show him how he has a limit to how much power he can control, and he wants to increase that. And he has manifested a secondary quirk, which we've all seen, Black Whip, that right now is a burden instead of an asset. And he wants to learn how to control it. And he put it down in the terms of to have movement and control simultaneously. And what's brilliant is Endeavour acknowledged that.
Now, what you always have to realize is Endeavour's overcome his own personal feats, and he says to Deku straight away off the bat, you're one of us, you're on the same boat as us, so you're burdened with a quirk that is put into that area of the same. So certain quirks out there, i.e. Endeavour's quirk, is a burden to the individual user.
To the individual's body specifically. Like the more power you engage from your quirk, the more drawbacks you physically feel. And for you to gain the most out of your quirk, you need to kind of develop yourself in other ways.
Yeah.
And you know what's funny is simultaneously what's going on with Shigaraki. Same kind of quirk, decayed his body, he used too much. So he's going through a process of an experiment with a doctor to enable himself to go on to that next level as well. So it's kind of like a parallel between the villains and the heroes right now. The main heroes, the main villains, they're going through the same thing.
Now, how Deku does this is going to be an achievement in itself. And one thing we do know, because he talks so much, is he'll be paying attention.
What will happen is, we get it, if we fast forward to the end of the chapter, one thing that Endeavour highlighted them, now you've got perseverance from UA, with me you're going to get experience. And obviously, I can see many pre-big battle, they'll be coming, maybe there'll be like a micro mini arc where they come into other villains and fight and put their skills to the test. And he's going to learn in the battlefield where maybe one, Endeavour will get to look at where his shortcomings are, and two, he'll see Endeavour do it himself. Because remember, like Endeavour he's teaching Shouto directly how to manage two quirks at the same time and how to control it to not damage his body. So with Deku, that's how I can see things happening.
I mean, it's one of the areas that All Might said specifically to Deku that he should maybe focus on, because All Might explained to him that he could generate a gust of wind just by increasing his input and throwing a punch, which would then generate like a tornado. So Deku's pretty much just followed in the same steps, and now he's developing aerial attacks, which is what Endeavour can actually help him out with as well, because he's got the fire flash, which allows him to pretty much fly, which he could then teach Deku, and throw out projectile-like attacks. So that should be a new feat to Deku.
Hopefully so. But let's get to the real deal. Let's talk. You know what? This part won't even need to be that long, because the guy said it so brilliantly and so simply. Bakugo. Bakugo says, I'm not here to learn what to do. I'm here to learn what I can't do, which I thought was brilliant, because it's almost like him acknowledging that he's not aware that he obviously has certain shortcomings. Within the context of his peers, he says, I'm already pretty much the best indirectly. Like, I can beat up there's nothing I can't really do with my quirk, but there's clearly things I can't do. And I understand a lot of it is to do with the mental game. Do you understand? And then at the same time, Kohai brilliantly put in the flashback where he was measuring the success in the last test where he did the teamwork and they won 4-0s. None of his team got lost. They captured all the other members. So it was more mission specific. It wasn't all out fighting. But he understands that that's what he has to learn in the experience context. And he directly says, I'm here to learn under the number one so I can see what the difference between me and number one is, so that I can literally topple you and surpass you. And Endeavour looked at him like,
this guy,
the cheek. But I know Endeavour can relate, because that was Endeavour's goal the whole time.
You're going off the number one's position. The thing with Bakugo, and it's brilliant, and I always say this about Bakugo, as much as he's just a fiery character, he's very, very intelligent. He independently knows his strength is one thing, but his ability to be the number one hero means his social understanding needs to be increased several times over, because he's not a sociable character. He went to Blue Genius, they tried to change his image, his hair, the way he carries himself. He did his 4-roll clean victory, he understood that he has to save every other hero to be number one. Now he's in a mix of civilians. How can he be the number one by saving himself, saving other civilians, not harming the surroundings, and continuously still striving to be the best?
Where they all struggled many arcs ago was in the first time they went for their license and the exams, when they were all failing at handling. They were all so, especially the strong characters,
predominantly trying to be,
they literally were just trying to have a fight.
And they're trying to show who's strong, ego.
They didn't know how to talk to civilians and the other side of being a hero, which is what they're going to learn. Which brings us on to third, certainly not the least,
Todoroki
Shouto. Thought it was powerful. I love the way Kohai dropped it. So Endeavour's like, okay, cool, let's go. He totally ignored that his son will have personal feelings, and his son, Shouto, went and had to let him know. He's like, listen, what about me? He goes, wait, isn't your goal to move? Fire Flash. And he goes, no. Like, he basically just said to his dad, like, listen, I've been burdened, you've beaten everything into me from when I was young. So he's reminiscing his abusive childhood and the pressure that he was put under, how he treated his mum, how he was a bad father. Lets his dad know, ultimately, I ended up how you wanted. I act in the way you want because it kind of goes with my purpose. However, I'm not here as your son.
I'm here to be the hero.
I'm here to learn how to be a valid hero by learning from the number one. Same personal beat. This is how we go and do
it. Business.
It's business.
It's business.
And you can see that it kind of impacted Endeavour, because Endeavour's like, right, like I've really misread him. Like, I really got it all wrong. I thought he like kind of opened his heart to me, but he hasn't. But what I did like is how Endeavour took that on the chin and was just like, you know what? That's not what it's about. Now, more importantly, before we go into the Endeavour part, what does this all mean? We've basically talked about each three and their kind of personal struggles and stuff. And I think each one was different to the point it's foreshadowed what we can expect in the near future and when we come up against the League of Villains. First of all, Deku, he's going to master Black Whip. Or get it to a degree where he can use it.
He's going to do the percentage thing with Black Whip. Because he's doing the percentage thing with his all-for-one quirk at the moment. he's gonna have to do the same with Black Whip.
One for all.
One for all. Apologies.
Everyone wants all for one.
Yeah,
the one for all, the one for all quirk at the moment, he's doing that. 10% or 20%, I can do this, and you saw him rambling. Black will be the same thing. Whatever he's spitting out, he's not letting it out too much. He's gonna let it out bit by bit to a point where it's okay. Let's do it on a matter of how far it can go. 5 feet, 10 feet, 20 feet. Oh, I can control it well in this state. Oh, I can't. It goes too wild and it doesn't. And that's how he's gonna measure it. He's calculated like that anyway. So.
And he probably increased his physical capacity of one for all anyway.
Yeah,
So
yeah, exactly.
we can expect that to improve.
Because the training is going to be grueling. Endeavour put himself through harsh training just to try and get to all for one situation. So, one for all situation. But now, when you're in that state of mind where, how do I train in that position, he's going to train them the same way. He's going to make sure they're doing the running, star jumps, all of that stuff.
With Bakugo, we're probably going to learn his shortcomings. So, as much as it hurts me to say, we're going to see a degree of defeat, perhaps, for Bakugo. That's my prediction.
You think defeat?
So, a temporary defeat. Something that will spur him on to rise higher, maybe in the future. But it will be, you know what I could see happening? To be number one, he has to learn to not be number one. So, it might be a position where, you know what, for us to beat this enemy, you have to be the main guy. Like, your ability is more suited to beating him than mine.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play assistance and I'm going to let you take us home, which will be killer for him. So imagine, let me lay the scene for you. Not saying how, we're not going to get into it because it's too much of a reach. But what I mean is, on a metaphoric level, to beat, for example, Shigaraki, Deku's ability is more suited to do it. Although he wants to be the main guy, although he wants to fight Shigaraki one-on-one, I'm going to assist Deku and we're going to do it together. But Deku, for example, will land the final blow and he will take the glory. So I think that's what he's going to have to learn. He's going to learn his shortcomings, but then in the future, he will rise from it.
I think the humility will come from that, but there's also another aspect of what we mentioned earlier about the social surroundings. So him having an interaction with a civilian and it not going so well. And him not being treated as a hero should be treated, if that makes sense to you, because heroes are welcomed, the glory's there. But he won't be welcomed and he won't get the glory if he doesn't deliver the right kind of message as a hero should.
Or he'll just have to learn how to tolerate it. That it's about being the dark hero, the hero the people need, rather than not trying to call Batman, but you know what I mean.
At the same time, when you look at the whole scenario, he's actually most probably under the most suited to teach him that, because Endeavour's pretty much gone through exactly the same thing.
And he's a similar personality.
Exactly.
Always chasing number one, has that dark, hard exterior, so definitely. And then what I think has been foreshadowed for Shouto, I mean, Shouto at that point early on, I think he seemed to be the most talented. I'm going to be honest and say that in terms of his ability. And also in terms of out of all their talents, he's mastered his ability the best. With him, I think we're going to get a more touching, in-depth backstory, feeling, surpass that. So I think we're going to have all three things.
I think, you're right.
And maybe the loss of his dad.
With Shouto, is if he can control his emotions,
he can control his ability.
Well, so to a further extent. And that's what he needs to now really, really delve with. I accept everything that's happened.
Yeah.
I'm good with it. I could go further now.
Yeah. I mean, his quirk says it all. Ice, fire, his balance.
Yeah,
so
that's what he needs to do.
And then we finish off with Endeavour, just basically teaching them, and we kind of find out that in principle that this is the best place in the world for them. I don't think All Might ever had and I don't mean no disrespect on All Might's name, he was the true number one hero, but I don't think he's the best suited teacher. And the reason being is, All Might was a personality that I'm going to take everything on my back because I can. Endeavour, he wanted to do that, and at times he may have done that, but at times because he couldn't, he had to find other ways to shine. So he tells him about the principles, and I had to write them down just to remind myself. So at my company, we prioritize 3 things: rescue, evacuation, suppression. Most agencies specialize in either, I think he said, evacuation or rescue. And he says we do all 3. So it's that kind of complete context of doing everything. And he talks a lot about parallel processing, which alludes to specifically how it will benefit Deku, because he's the one that's struggling with that the most. And he just finishes strong by telling them the experience.
It loses all of them. I'll tell you why. Their quirks are quite explosive, all 3 of them. So whenever they use their quirks, they need to be able to understand, okay, if I use it here, I have to remember who's going to hit, who it might hit behind, who might ripple effect of what they're going to happen. So them understanding of what they may do at that moment that effect it has on the external individuals that are involved in the same scene. So all three of them need to really process that. But you're right, Deku is the main one where he's gonna really take it into account the most.
So exciting stuff. Not much to say. It was putting things into context for us to build up the excitement for the next few coming chapters. The next probably micro mini arc before we get into the League of Villains big boy arc, because I think there has to be like some kind of training preparation, but real time training. But awesome chapter. All in all, please let us know what you thought down in the comment section below.
If you haven't already, smash the subscribe button, guys. Hit the like button, and don't forget to share the video. The more you share, the more we grow. But from Konkozaki Corner,
Yes, sir. Peace out.